You know, one of the main tenets of Christianity that has always intrigued me, made me excited, and actually confounded me at the same time is the fact that life is a journey. Life is a journey. You know, I mean, that what we do through life is, in a sense, where we're moving along. And the premise of that in Christianity, as far as what I've learned over the years, is that it's not about destination, it's not about accumulation, it's about transformation. It's about us becoming who we're supposed to be, as you've heard me say, us being a little bit less what we are right now and turning a little bit more what we ought to be. That it's not about, you know, the things that we've picked up over the years, the education, the titles, the financial wealth, or any of those things. Not that they are bad, don't misunderstand, but not getting trapped into that's what life is all about. It's more about what our character is and who we are inside as people. I mean, after all, what is Christianity? What does it say? What's the measurement of being a good Christian? It's not whether or not you followed the Ten Commandments, actually. The measurement of whether you're a good Christian or not, or do you experience and do you exhibit the fruits of the Spirit? Love, peace, patience, kindness, forbearance. Do you show those things in everyday life? Trust me, if you show those things in everyday life, you will have followed the Ten Commandments. That's just a fact. But it's living out that love, peace, patience, kindness. It's that molding and shaping of you like the potter and the clay that the Old Testament talks about. That we're the clay and God's the potter, and He's molding and shaping us into who we're supposed to be. That has little to do with destination or accumulation. It has more to do with transformation. You know, when I read once again the Old Testament, we've been going through the Old Testament story of the Exodus, and I've always been, you know, a lover. I don't know whether it's because at a very early age, you know, my parents took me to see two movies that I remember, both in New York City. One was Ben-Hur, okay, which is based on a little biblical knowledge and really nothing much else, okay? But the other thing was the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, you know? And I always remember vividly in my mind all the scenes of you know, Charlton Heston and the parting of the Red Sea and up on the mountain and throwing the tablets down in the whole 9 yards. I don't know if you guys were raised that way, but I was. And as I always have looked at the story of the Exodus, you know, leaving bondage in Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, going into the desert, the people complaining every step of the way, God meeting the needs of the people every step of the way, people being punished while they're in there, going on and then going through what took 40 years but really should have taken about 11 days. The molding and shaping of not just a nation, but of a person. And I've always looked at the Exodus as more about, you know, a person, almost like the nation of Israel is just one person, and that it touches me. It touches who I am as a person. You know, it's real easy when you look at it as a nation and you see, you know, people making mistakes like, you know, in where they revel and they build the golden calf and they do the whole 9 yards because they're afraid because Moses has gone away, you know, and he hasn't returned, and they thought, well, he's dead, so therefore Aaron, Moses' brother, make us, you know, a god so we can have a god somewhere to be here to give us security, that fake sense of security. And I can often relate in my own life about how I built little golden calves throughout my life. And I wish I could say I never did, but I do it even today. There's times when I rely on it. And so when I look at the story of the Exodus, I look at it as Israel is a person rather than a nation almost. And I look at that story in the way of, in a sense, where they are one person which I don't think I'm far off from doing that, because, I mean, after all, the nation of Israel is named after Jacob, whose name is changed to Israel. And if you look at him, he was a disaster. I mean, he was a liar. He did all kinds of things that were wrong. But somewhere in the midst of him, he loved Yahweh. He loved God. I mean, he really loved God, and he knew God loved him. And even though he was human and he made all kinds of stupid choices, somehow he knew God was going to be faithful to him in the midst of things. And so as I look at the story of the Exodus, I look at it as though it's me going through this developmental journey of life. That it's an adventure. It's frightening. You're afraid to go forward and you're afraid to go back. That you make mistakes and you complain the whole time. But in the midst of it, it's really kind of interesting for me, because as we get in the story today, where Moses says, God, are you going to go with us? Who are you sending with us? Don't send an angel. You got to go yourself with us. I got to have you there. How else are everybody else going to know that we really do belong to you unless it's you yourself? Don't send your representative. Send yourself with us. And how Moses says, I've got to have you in my life. I can't live without you in my life. But we screw up, God. You know, this whole setting is right after they made the golden calf. It's right after, actually. If you read the story, the Levites go through and they kill, I think it's 3,000 or 5,000 people that, are Israel, because they didn't obey, and, they get killed. But I look at it as though it's, me. There's little parts of me that need to be killed sometimes. Now, I hope this analogy works for you, because it's working for me. But it's where, when am I going to get rid of the stuff that in me, in a sense, makes me deny God? When am I going to get rid of the stuff in me that sort of moves me forward in God? When am I going to get to the place where I don't have the need to set up those golden calves, those false idols of security that somehow, are based on my pension, or, or whether the country ever gets running straight, or, any of that stuff? When am I going to get to the place where I really am trusting the fullness of God? The story of the Exodus for me is so passionately true, because it's really a story more about the faithfulness of God than it is about the faithfulness of the people. And isn't that the story that's gone on with you? The faithfulness of God in your life, especially when you get those other security things that you feel like you got to have. If I don't have that, oh my God, then I'm irritable with everybody. When I'm secure in God, I have love, peace, patience, kindness. I can do it, even if I'm driving on I-4. I can have love, peace, patience, kindness when I'm in God, even when I go into, Publix parking lot, which, by the way, is starting to fill up already this year. But when I go into my own securities, love, peace, patience, and kindness, it's tough to get. You see, the story of the Exodus is about you. It's about you leaving the foreign land of idols to move to worship the one true God that's really there for you. Most of you are, a lot of you are older than me. How's that journey going for you? How's your Exodus doing? Are you closer to God than you were before, or are you more frightened now? Ask yourself that. Where are you in the Exodus? Are you going to take 40 more years? I hope I don't. But I know I'll take more than 11 days. It's so interesting to me, because as I move through my own life, what I realize is something I've said for years. whenever you move into something, you don't just do the next right thing. Do the next right thing. But I've expanded on that lately for me because, doing the next right thing almost makes it sound like I did the last right thing. And to tell you the truth, the last thing I did a lot of times was the wrong thing, not the next right thing. And I've got to say to myself, I got to do the next right thing, even if the last thing I did was the wrong thing. Because in moving through life in a journey is simply about the step that you're taking now, the moment you're in right now, the life that you're in right now, and are you connected to the Creator of you right now? Are you in a process of transformation that, by the way, is not measured in years? Usually it's measured moment to moment. Because faith and the journey of faith is 5 steps forward and 3 steps back. I hate to say it, but that's really the way it was. That's the way it was. That's why it took 40 years to get an 11-day journey done. 5 steps forward and 3 steps back, repeating the same mistakes that we've made before, looking at those things until we finally get, in a sense, to the place where we say, I'm tired of making this mistake. I'm not going to make this mistake again. Where are you in your exodus? Or are you in the place where you say, I know where everything is in this foreign land that I live in. I think I'll just sit it out here. I'm not trying to make a statement on salvation here. Please do not think that. But I am making a statement, in a sense, about depth of faith. And depth of faith demands that you move forward. Depth of faith means that without a shadow of a doubt, you try and do the next right thing, even if the last thing you did was the wrong thing. Depth of faith means that you move further away from the golden calves and the idols, and you move closer to the living God. And depth of faith can be seen in those qualities of love, peace, patience, kindness, forbearance. They can be seen in that. It can be tasted in that. It can be heard in that. It can be smelled in that. And it will touch everyone else that crosses your path as they are on their journey. It's in the name of Jesus that we pray. Amen.